Okay, let's have a look. So, we've opened it all up. I've got a few bits that I've brought in of my own. So, instructions previously shown. Got my own goggles, even though they do supply you with goggles, and a spray mask. Instructions, which I'll go through in a second. So, I've got a couple of extra bits. So, I've actually got some more of these, but I can't find them all. So, I've got the different sizes. As I said originally, I wasn't quite sure about the sizes and what these all do. So, the different nozzles. So, the nozzles will have number on them, i.e. 515. What we got here, we got 517, 515, 517. Oh, sorry, 417. Sun's been on them, so a 315. So you've got a 515, 517, 417, 415 and a 315. So I wasn't quite sure what that all means, like a lot of people won't. The instructions here actually comes out and it says quite clearly. So we go through the installs and troubleshooting, but there's a section here and it basically says number calculations, the first digit of the half of the vein with 5 times 2 equals 10. So the 5 equals 5 inches. So it's half the actual spray width. So this will give a 5 will give a 10-inch wide spray. How wide? So that first number is half the actual spray width. Spray tips and pressure selection. Spray tips come in variety sizes of spraying width, range and materials. Your spray includes a 515 spray tip for use with most points of large surfaces such as walls and ceilings. If you are spraying stains or need different spray width, spray fan width, refer to your spray tip chart below to select the best sprayer tip for your project. Additional spray tips are available from InoKraft. Right, tip number. First digit of the first digit is half the width, i.e. 5 times 2 equals 10. So, as we just said, a 5 would be a 10-inch spray. The last two digits are the size. The last two digits are the size of the tip opening in thousandths of an inch. In other words, how big the actual tip spray size is. So if you're using coarser paint or larger, thicker paint, you'll want a larger size. So the smaller the number, the smaller the hole. So a 5 would be a 10-inch spray with 1/15 spray. So 515 is kind of an all-rounder. 517. So on here, so material. If you're going to spray with stain, sealer, then you want a 4-inch width, then you want either a 209 or a 211. 6-inch fan you want a 309 or a 311. An 8-inch fan you want a 411. Semi-transparent stain. 4-inch would be a 211. 6-inch would be a 311 or a 313. 8-inch 411 or 413. Solid stain, again, same sort of numbers, depending on the numbers. Interior paint primer. It doesn't give a 4-inch at all, only goes straight to 6-inch, so you're looking at starting at a 315, a 415 or a 417 or a 515 or a 517. Exterior paint and primer. again, does not go into cover the 4-inch or the 6-inch, only covers 8-inch and 10-inch. So you're going to be looking at 415, 417, 515, 517. So in short, if you're doing external stuff and thicker paints, you need the larger nozzles. So I will put clips and shows to all this up. We'll go through this. There's all the problem solving, troubleshooting. Let's have a look. So let's have a look. Know your controls. What's the controls? So first thing we're going to want to do, I'm going to look at setting this up. So I don't read. Meine Deutsch ist nichts gut, so I don't think I'll be trying to read in German. Spraying to start, quick troubleshooting. So, alright, let's have a look. Let's go find some paint. Ron seal fence paint because we're going to be painting the shed, so I'll put that down here a second. That's it. So I went out and got some spare bits for this. So I've got some spare nozzles. I've also got some different filters. These go in the handle. Open them up. The different sizes for different paints. So different size filter for the different types of paint. So obviously the thicker the paint, the larger the. So you've got 80 mesh. 60 mesh and 100 mesh. So the finer the paint, the sprayer mesh, then the smaller the spray mesh you want. So thicker the paint basically, the larger the mesh. So if you're using quite thick paint, you get on a 60. If you're using very thin runny paint, very watery paint, then you want a 100. I believe 80 is about the average that comes with these. So these bits basically go inside. So there's the spanners. Do that. So those are those bits inside here. Obviously, make sure you wash them out when you're finished with them. So you can't see what size that one is. It doesn't say. I believe the ones that come with these is an 80. So it's kind of an all-rounder. We'll give it a try later and find out. Thing I've got, so I've got the tips. So we've got a 517, 417, a 31, 515 and a 415 and a 315. I've actually got another tip, but it's not here for some reason. That's just in the front room. So this basically is another filter. 3/4 inch one piece airless spray paint leader. So this is designed for this bit. If you see on here, you've got one on it, so we've basically got a spare. Now again, I don't know, I assume these are all one sort of size. The idea is when you're picking up the paint, you're not picking up any lumps and dirt and grit and stuff. So having a spare of those is not a bad thing. I would probably suggest that whatever sprayers you do end up looking at and going for, that you invest in nozzle tips, spare spray filters, and actual hand filters. The other thing I've seen that I haven't picked up is, just take that off, these heads. So there's different heads as far as I can work out. So pick up maybe some spare ones of these, as well as spare things. There are even entire hand pieces on there, so it might be that you don't particularly like this one, you might not like the other one. There's different ones you do like. So far, I don't like about this. Do all those up in a moment. So I've got my hand glasses and goggles and gloves and paper suit and stuff. Now I will put some pictures of this up, so I'll take pictures and show it. So you've got your instructions. We'll go through all this in a moment. But one thing I did want to quickly show, for every English, that's fluent German. Spray tips and pressure selection. So, your different spray tips, which also applies to these filters here. It doesn't really see much about those there. Spray tip pressure selection. Spray tips come in a variety of sizes for spraying wide ranges of materials. Your sprayer includes a 515 tip for use with most paints on large surfaces such as walls and ceilings. If you are spraying stains or need different spray fan width, refer to the spray tip chart to select the best spray tips for your project. Additional spray tips are available from InoKraft. 1. What material are you spraying? The thicker the material, the larger the spray tip size you will need. So that's the actual hole, if that makes sense. So the thicker the paint, larger the hole. What spray width is needed for your project? Narrow spray width for small projects, wide spray tips for larger projects. That's how wide the spray pattern is. So obviously if you're doing a small area, you want a narrow spray pattern. If you're doing a big area like the carriage and I'm doing here, you want a large pattern. Confirm your sprayer can be used with the spray tip size. So by all accounts there's different spray tips available for different sprayers, so you need to make sure that the spray tips you've got are compatible with your sprayer, the air pressure and so on. So not all spray tips are going to work, so make sure you do check that. Right, tip number calculation. The first digit is the fan width, i.e. 5 times 2 equals 10 inch fan width. So on a 515 like this, I know you can't see this, but that's 515 right there. So basically that will give me a 10 inch wide or 10 inch long spray. We have the 1.5, so the first bit, 5, is the actual size of the spray pattern. So half of 10 is 5, so double 5 would be 10. So this will give you a 10-inch wide spray. Probably that big. The 1.5, last two digits are the size of tip opening in a thousandth of an inch. So depending on if you're not so much working in thousandths of an inch, so on, you're more used to mils or whatever, it might make things more difficult, but basically that'd be 15 thousandths of an inch, whereas so you've got different sizes, so range from 209 to 517. So this is a fairly standard sort of spray piece. So the smaller that number, the smaller the hole. So that's how fine the spray pattern will be. So the 5 is how big an area. So if you imagine a ruler, so you're going to get a line like this. So you're going to get a line that long. Now the second part is how thick that pattern is going to be and how thick the paint is going to be able to use. So the thicker the paint, the bigger the nozzle. The thinner the paint, the smaller the nozzle hole. So if you're using, I don't know, most house paints, you're probably going to want a 5.5, 5.7. It gives you some examples here. So, what material? So, stain and sealer. Now, obviously, this gives you a 4-inch spray, 6-inch spray, 8-inch spray, 10-inch spray, 11-inch spray. There is nothing in the 11-inch spray for any of them. It then tells you sprayer compatibility and which one supports the maximum spray tips. Right, so stain and sealer, 4-inch or 6-inch. We can either use a 209, a 211, a 309, or a 311, or a 411. Interesting, it won't let us use the 409. I'm guessing that's because of obviously how light it's trying to spray. So to get the height of the spray, you've got to sacrifice. So, and these are all compatible with the MaxSpray M1, MaxSpray M3 Plus. So there's 2 sprays these all work with. Semi-transparent stain, 211, 311, 313, 411, 413. Solid stain, 211, 311, 313, 411, 413. Interior paint primer. So interior paint or primer. So we're starting at 315 and going to 415, 417, 515 or 517. Exterior paint and or primer. 415, 417, 515, 517. We said here. As you continue to spray, the spray tip will inevitably experience some wear and tear, causing hole size to increase. Starting with spray tip hole size number. Starting with a spray tip hole size number smaller than the maximum will allow you to spray for longer within the compatibility of the sprayer. Please be aware that the spray tips do not wear with use, require periodic replacement to maintain constant spray patterns and avoid clogs. In other words, make sure you get hold of spray tips. So you need to have a collection of these, and likewise the filters. So you've got troubleshooting. Right, so let's have a quick look at the actual setting this thing up. First thing I'm going to do, just hit my spray arrow on it. I can use it. move my paint out of the sun. So just a little bit. So that bit's going to go into paint. First things first, let's go through this lot. We've decided we're doing a large area, we want quite a thick paint. So ideally I want a 517 if I have one. 315, 417, 515, 517. So I'm going to swap that one, put the 517 in, because I want to paint the shed, I want to do it as quick as possible. It says on here 10-inch spray, interior paint or primer, exterior paint or primer. So it tells you what they're for. It tells you. Should be nice out. Gives you a sheen plug, washing colour, whatever you want to call it. And let's put that one in there for a second. So that was it. So basically that obviously pushes against that inside. So let's put that in my hand. One thing obviously does strike me is the possibility for these to clearly all kind of pull up. If you're not doing them up, you have to be careful you don't over tighten and like at the same time don't under tighten. Now, nozzle bit on there you use to clean these, so you can't really see that in there. These you can use that to actually clear the nozzle. You can also use it to push them out. Now, they look the same size to me, to be honest, but I'm not going to take a risk. I'm going to put in dawn cake like this, which could be a little bit fiddly. Come up with a cunning trick of how to do this. Put that on there like that. That into there like so. And behold, I take the other piece of it. Push that back in. Right, okay. gone. There's no button there. Now we try again. This time actually so we need it to go in line with that hole. Actually, like so. Back in. Got it. I can push it with my fingers. Yeah. Okay. We should be able to. Just tight. Should be a simple case of just turning that up. Obviously that dictates with your spraying. Spray pan in. So that would be the spray pan going that way. That would be the spray pan going that way. I believe turn it around like that. Just when you're doing priming, so to prime it. So you've got the hole. Just do that. So you've got a hole for priming, and then you want to get the paint through initially for spray. And obviously you can turn that like that, it turns it off. So no paint in that. Put it to the prime position to start with. Right, I'll tighten that up. The tighter you have that, the more it pushes against this. So, the spanners don't actually cover that bit. I'd say it's probably got to be hand tight. So you don't give your spanner big enough to cover to operate that bolt. She's got a lock in this one. So So if you don't want to keep the thing and hold it yourself, a bit like a gas pump, rather than you having to hold it all the time, you have to put it on the lock. Just be careful because obviously it's not a great design. It's a little bit, it is ambidextrous, so you can do it from left or right. But obviously it does fiddle a bit to try and turn it. You can't just sort of. Okie dokie. Tighten that up. Spanner sizes are a bit. They give you these spanner grip pleats, but they don't give you a spanner to actually do the bit. This, as far as I can tell, is the hose bit. So you can change the hose adapters. So like this, you can change the hose. Right. First thing I'm going to do, find the right end. One end goes to the hose, one end goes to the machine, one end goes to the handles. grommets or anything on this. These are simple metal fits. Don't over tighten them. So that should stay loose, hence there. Ratchet cuff is because of the which is handy, which can be used. Just make sure the cable or hose isn't entangled on us. Quite a rigid hose, it's quite stiff. Keep hold of those, don't lose them. Those. Not too tight. Spray prime. So we want it turn all the way to prime. Got a little marker here to tell you where you are. So further in, higher spray pressure. Low spray pressure, so small sprays. Priming and cleaning. So we just turn it all the way to prime. Now on here we have this little thing that says spray or prime. Well, we're going to be priming it, so I want to push it to prime first. So, and I thought I'd show these bits here. So I've got an extra one of these thinking it was the longer one, but it comes with come with a 12-inch rod like this anyway. But what you can do with these, see, if I made a mistake and I've gone and got, I won't bother taking that bit off in a second, we've gone and got, you've got more smaller ones or you've got longer ones. If you need a longer one, you can just join two together. Now, note, just so I do it without. Obviously don't do what I just did there and put it into that. It's just holding cap for when you've got them for storage. Also take these off, but you just put them together like that. And you've got a 2-foot spray extender. So, second, just going to put the covers back on. And note, these covers both ways. Either on that end or on that end. So, in short, if you're not using bits, keep the covers on. We may come back and use a bit. I don't think I'm going to need to. mixer for your paint. Right, so you should see. I'm going to try this without diluting it. Supposedly you don't need to. Goes in. So. Flick out of the I'm going to set this into prime. Nozzle to prime. So, arrow's pointing back towards me, big hole there. So that's prime, so that's prime, and we're going to turn on. And there we go, nothing happens. Why is nothing happening? Primed. So now away. In my blue monkey suit. Because you don't want to be breathing in paint fumes. Paint, full stop. And good old goggles to protect those. Because as far as I'm aware, these things do make a hell of a mess. We shall find out. Okay, one thing I would say is uncoil the hose first before you try to use it. So I'm just going to try it on here so you can see. that way, or we can try that way. Considering I'm not a sprayer, I've never done this before in my life. It's the very first time I've ever used it. So we go. One thing, this is where the hose is. It is quite messy. That's just my bottle. Okay. Well, it certainly paints very fast. I think a little bit of time getting to know the different spray patterns and different types of paint. I think each paint's different, so you have to get used to it. As I say, I'm not a painter, I'm not an expert in sprays in any way, shape or form, but it's just done that very, very fast. One thing I will note is it goes through a bucket of paint really quick, so I guess that depends on the settings you got it on. I'd probably had it on too high, so I guess basically make sure you get to know what type of paint it is, have a bit of a play, get used to different paint and spray patterns and things. Yeah, the other thing is the hose. You need to make sure you uncoil the hose and pull it all the way out and try and pull it back. It does get coiled up and cause issues itself. So it goes through paint very fast. I did need to tighten up the end on the nozzle because it was coming out. It does make a lot of mess, there's a lot of spray mist. But considering this only took me literally a couple of minutes to do all this, and to some that may not be a lot, but that was probably a week's worth of the brush for me. About a couple of minutes drunk an entire bucket. So I'm now going to clean this because I'll have to go and get another bucket of paint because I've got most of that wall to finish and I've got some other bits. I've got around the other side to do as well at some stage. But for today I'm pretty impressed, I'm pretty happy. It's been easy to use and relatively mess free. I did make a mess of the door, but I think all in all not been too bad. Next game, how to clean. They actually say to do this, but my theory is if I run the paint through first, water to clear it out. so I'm guessing really you need to undo these to take that off. That needs to come off. So there's bits of paint in there. But it's generally, it seems to be the paint I've used is water based, so the paint I've used is also very quick drying. Things and run it through, and I shall put a brush out and clean it properly. Okay, let's get this thing clean. I have done a quick sort of rinse through it, but let's see if we can get it done and get it cleaned properly. So, I have run it through here. I guess sort of this depends on how fussy you want to be with it. I have left it lower since I started, so this paint does dry very fast, even though it's water-based paint. So. Outside. So far it's cleaned up really well, really easily. If anything, actually easier than cleaning a paintbrush. I see. So what they're doing is removing that. They then put on a hose adapter, like so. One thing I did notice, obviously you do need to make sure you tighten this up fairly well before you start plating. I didn't have it tight enough initially, which meant I was getting a lot of paint coming out the sides. I'm just using a little sponge here, but they do give you proper cleaning brush and bit there. Remove and clean gun filter inside handle every use. Okay, well we're doing it anyway. So, clean the outside the gun first. So I did get quite a lot of paint all over this to start with because I didn't have the head on tight enough. Off. Because it's under pressure, it wouldn't undo, so just release the pressure first. That way it'll come off easier. Right over that. And we should try it again. see the amount of debris in there. Put that there. You could probably just put that straight onto there, to be honest. You don't actually need the tap. So you could quite easily dab it like that. That just means you'll have a comfortable flow of water you won't have to turn it on or off. So we'll go with what they give so far. Tighten the collar to this, not to that. Seals actually get to do their job. And then we'll try again. There we go. And start cleaning this. There's the brush inside there. Could do with a longer handle brush. Yeah, definitely could do with one longer than this. But it's working, does the job. Could undo that and just do it that way. Pipe cleaners are obviously worth investing in with these good pipe cleaners. It does actually clean up really easily, which is a surprise. I've seen a lot of things going out that make me pain. Yes, there's a lot of bits. Clean up quite well. Let's take the should. Literally, I'm just using water here. I'm not using anything else. No cleaning fluids, nothing else. Yeah, it's going to depend on the paint you're using. And one of the advantages of water-based paints is. I think a little bit of practice with this. That's fine. There's some. It does depend on how fussy you want to be with cleaning something up. There are many that will leave it, just leave little bits of dirt that aren't in the whale paint. Just make sure the main working parts are all clean. I want to try and keep it as clean as possible for as long as possible. That's what I'm going to do now. For a second. Reattach the hose. Seals inside, I'm guessing. Turn this on. Might be an idea, wouldn't it? Together.
10 inches depending where they're measuring 10 inches from. So 10 inches high, and then the width will be the second number. Does that make sense to anyone? Prime, to run it through on prime. More to do with filling it coming out for a bit. This primer running water through. Takes main paint through, but then sends it back through the primer. And obviously, you can see there we've got next to nothing coming through there because there's no pressure. Turn it off a second. Back in. So yeah, I think definitely you're going to want to keep a number of these filters. Keep spares of these filters and spray heads. Then the key is get the unit and pick up spares at the same time as you buy the unit. Just make sure that the spares and filters and heads and things that you're getting are compatible with the actual sprayer. So like I said originally, one of the reasons I went for this particular sprayer is I found a lot of the heads and handles were compatible with this one. It was kind of standard. Whereas the other unit I looked at, which was the Wagner, they were all Wagner specific. I do like the Wagner sprayer, and as far as I can tell it's a very good bit of kit, very similar to this. So I don't think anyone who buys a Wagner would be disappointed. Like I said, I'm a complete novice perspective for somebody who wanted a sprayer who could do lots of things. I'm actually very happy with this. Cut. thread difference. Yeah, because that could go straight up. Yeah, so that could have gone straight up. So just thread different though. Particularly look, but then again, metal on metal. Just a plastic on metal. And the one thing I don't know on here is whether I'm supposed to leave the water in the unit or whether I'm supposed to spread it out of the unit. They say whether you're supposed to drain it or not, or whether you can leave the water inside. I guess if you leave the water inside, it makes it easier for priming. But you've got to clear the water, I guess. Let's have a look. There we go. My experience with the M1 MaxSpray from InoKraft. Yes, I've got printed there. So, MaxSpray M1 InoKraft. Is it a good spray? Well, it seems pretty good. Is it something that pros would use? Possibly, I don't know. People who spray paint for a living, I dare say they have their favourites and what they will use or won't use. Somebody like me who is a complete novice who just wants to get various jobs done, I think this is become a good investment. I am glad I didn't get some of the other ones that I'd seen originally. So I did get the Ronseal pump sprayer thing, which was basically a weed sprayer, and to be honest, that thing was a complete nightmare, total waste of time and money. But then again, for 20 quid, I'm not going to complain. It gives me a weed sprayer I can use. Although I don't actually use it as a weed sprayer. Use it to put water in, use it to spray up parrots. Yeah. Well built, well made, good price. All I would say is anyone that's looking to use or buy a sprayer, don't cut corners, don't do yourself a favour, spend a little bit of money. You don't need to spend loads, but at the end of the day, what you do want to do is not be wasting your money either. So if you buy something cheap and end up having to buy it 3 times, have you saved any money? I think the aim is literally get you out of the shop, down the road, find it doesn't do what you want to do, and then find yourself having to spend more money. Ultimately, this is what it's all about, getting a job done for the best price you can get the job done. Put a bit of the sale on the side there. Yeah, MaxSpray M1 from InoKraft. Do I think it's worth it? Yes. guess from a tool's perspective, if you use a tool once, you buy a tool to do a specific job and you use it once, then it's done its job, so therefore you could say that, you know, it's worth what you pay for it. Brush isn't too good, if you use it more than once, it's definitely worth it. If it's a tool you pay a lot of money for but you never use, definitely not worth it. There's the ultimate thing, is what are you going to paint or spray? Do you need it, or is it a shiny item that looks good that you think you'll purchase in there? If you've got a use for it and use it once, you've got your money out of it. If it's something you were only going to use once but you could have done cheaper another way, was it worth it? I think personally for me, the time on here, I would definitely say that it's worth it. I did in a few minutes. And you think in total to the I've probably spent an hour, maybe two, on all this painting, setting it up, going through it all, getting to understand and use it, and then cleaning it. I suppose spent more time on cleaning than actually spraying. But had I been doing one of the more traditional methods, then I would have probably been here a couple of days. One thing that I do find annoying, and this isn't just InoKraft, this is products in general. When you've got a product like this has got 2 meter lead on it, which is pretty good. The reality is, products like this need ideally a 4 to 5 meter cab cable. But it's not the end of the world. I will try to do more as I go along. Possibly on little bits and pieces, just to try and use some tips on stuff. And there's a lot of just having access to the useful information is simple. For those of you pro painters and sprayers who sit there cursing and swearing, sorry. I'm going to set that into prime. It's priming. pretty impressed. Didn't take me long to clean. Wasn't hard to clean. It's done the job I wanted it to do. And there's a lot of other jobs it'll be used for. So yes. So yeah. Just done that. And that. There's a lot more to get done. I do need more paint. It's done quite well.